Okay, two-hand tapping. Maybe not to everyone's taste, but there's lots of things to think about. So, trying to think about things that you can do with it that aren't maybe necessarily what immediately comes to mind. Okay, so the first thing is that I think a lot of the reason why I get so much bad rap in playing is because the sort of the Kirk Hammett effect, that sort of thing. So I'm going to be thinking about stuff that you do without distortion for now, but most of it applies if you're trying to build stuff with distortion. Although some playing techniques slightly differ. I would say if you end up using your entire right hand on the neck, and you're sort of using your left hand hammer-ons from nowhere, you really have to watch what your muting is doing. But yeah, so first thing is to just think about a little bit about what we normally do, tapping, which is sort of digital patterns, I think what people call them. So yeah, the most common things are these groups of fours and whatnot, where the relationship of the pentatonic shapes produces things that you can play really fast. Most guitar players have taken any interest of that. I can probably do that infinitely. Yeah, which is of course really useful in any jam situation if you want to piss people off. But like how to try and move beyond that is often quite a problem. So one of the first things I think is quite useful is to try and think about like the independence of the right hand. Because if you can do this, you can already do quite a lot of stuff. I mean, you can obviously you can do the sort of stuff, which is actually great for building lines. Like if you want to build like stuff that's, I mean, there's a lot that you can do if you're really interested in things that are sort of fusiony, that is in the kind of Holdsworth, Guthrie Govan-y, Frank Gambale realm, using this. Holdsworth obviously is all about having huge sort of stretches, so a lot of that sort of sound can be created through tapping vocabulary, but it's a different sort of tapping vocabulary, and that's what I'm trying to talk about here. So that's just, yeah, did I mention starting on an A minor chord? Let's just do that from the point of view of simplicity. That's what we're playing over, yeah? So as I said, there's the whole kind of digital tapping thing. So there's just to step up, like even stepping away from that a little bit, adding one extra note can really just change it already. So for example, if you're going from 4 like that to 5, it already makes a very different sound. Like it's just totally modal though, it's very colourless, and I think that's probably the biggest problem with that sort of stuff, because that's just a texture, that's not a line. The only thing that it just sort of arrives at a point, and the line, that it's a good way to sort of maybe boink to something. Trying to make a line with sort of thing is very different. I think that's now you have to kind of try and think how you would think if you were actually playing a normal type of a line. If you're playing a bebop thing, or for me, it's doing play a lot of gypsy jazz and classical music, other things, bluegrass as well. But so let's just say, from the point of view of going out of tune, I'll do for now. It's not like I'm ever going to play a chord. So yeah, so first steps that are quite interesting is using your right hand independence across the string. So you've got like stuff like that. So that's a sort of nice effect. Again, it's still quite digital tapping sort of stuff. What becomes more interesting is when you actually start to move, like say, like change to play out. So like something like this. Now that's like there's a few tricks there. Obviously, with any guitar player who's ever played bebop will know the first time somebody tells you about this whole concept of playing out is they often introduce this idea, for example, of moving a half step. So if you're like playing kind of I don't know, for example, E minor with a cavalry over C major, this kind of thing, and then moving down a half step creates this sort of thing. I mean, it's really basic, that sort of stuff. It's really just ignoring all important harmony stuff, but you know, in terms of this, it can be actually quite useful. Yeah, so it's really great sort of sound, you know. It's very, very sort of quick recipe. No, but you can go a bit further, you know, like actually making the specific harmonies. So you have like, so for example, like let's just say I want to do something with upper structures, like, so I want to make a sort of this kind of sound on the top. So like, this is going to be quite crazy. So if you start with a normal A minor, you can resolve it, so you kind of can create this A flat over A vibe. Nice. I mean, like if you think about how people play over things like modal tunes in general, people create all these little bits, or whatever, adding extra places, imaginary sort of harmonies. It's slipping out of tune. Sorts of things that then you could kind of do. So when it comes to that doing, let's just like roll that back a little bit to what you can do with that in terms of tapping. Back to our A minor. So like if we think about maybe starting with an arpeggio, let's do here. Arpeggio, A minor, root third, E, I was just going for note names. That's how I play. I don't know fret numbers. It's like A, C, E, G. A, C, E, G, C sharp minor arpeggio. So that's pretty crazy. And then go to the B flat minor arpeggio. So you got. Well, I mean, I didn't explain the last bit, but that's even just an example. Do. There's the simplest version. A minor arpeggio, C sharp minor arpeggio, B flat minor arpeggio. Now here's the thing that's really interesting. Whenever you go to take a side step like that, like these upper structure, sorry, upper structure. What I'm saying, enclosures are really useful in two-hand tapping. Because, for example, if I go, so I'm going like, I can like get back into the key I'm in. So if I was playing, I'm in my kind of A minor harmony, go to a B flat kind of B flat 7 harmony. You know, or like a similar thing, I could go my A minor harmony. Let's see, how am I going to do this? And then maybe I'm going to go to a, let's say, an A flat kind of sound. So that's that kind of thing. You can do it, you can layer them. So there's some pretty cool ideas. Yeah, I mean, ultimately when you want to make lines though, you want to make, I think that it's best to try and find kind of elements of intentionality, you know. So if you're going to, especially if you're going to do anything that's really fast, if you go something like, just a little thing like that on top of this. Like throwing in something chromatic. I don't know, how would I go about it? Let's make it quite interesting. So back to the boilerplate, but like, you know, like that sort of thing is what's cool. Yeah. So that's some ideas about lines. I mean, I'm going to go to, when I've sort of, I mean, I'm sort of talking about my own playing here. I mean, when I'm thinking about it, especially when I'm playing slower, because there is the whole slower aspect of it, you know, you can... There's no reason you can't play just any normal line. You know, if you're playing something like Solar, it's the beginning of that. Etc. 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 It doesn't necessarily always lend itself. I mean, I don't think I give a very good example of that there, but it can. Yeah. etc. But other things you can do, quite interesting, the kind of riffy sort of stuff. You see a lot of that on Instagram. Cool thing, quartal voicings, like this. I like this. It's quite an unusual sort of sound. Whatever things, you other things you can do. You're into classical harmony, that sort of thing. But in terms of actual jazz applications, I'm going to be exploring this on a new channel actually a lot in the next while. Trying to organize my thoughts a bit better about it. I'm just kind of experimenting right now. So to try and actually think about playing over fast moving changes, how to make really interesting shapes, how to develop technique with it, and other stuff.